Shikaku Nara was the Jōnin commander of Konoha, head of the Nara clan, and was a member of Ino Shikacho trio, alongside with Inoichi Yamanaka and Choza Akimichi. When he became a genin, Shikaku was partnered with Choza Akimichi and Inoichi Yamanaka. In the anime nearing the end of the Third Shinobi World War, his team was assigned to deliver a request for a peace treaty between the Konoha and Iwa. Anticipating the Iwa shinobi to turn hostile, the meeting was strategically held at the borderline of the Land of Wind. Knowing that the fourth Kazekage would oversee the meeting, should a battle break out on his land. During the nine-tailed demon fox attack, Shikaku and his teammates assisted in the village's defense. He also wondered if it was Minato who had deflected the Ninetales tail beast ball. In the anime, when he was first seen, he was portrayed as a bit of an alcoholic, and at times used some of Shikamaru's catchphrases, like "what a drag" in English and "how troublesome" in Japanese. Like his son, he thought that women should be tender and sweet, but as his son says, his wife had him quote-unquote whipped, though he appeared to have few things hidden away that he did not want her to see. Unlike his son, his resolve was much stronger, as even during the most depressing or dangerous of situations, he had been shown to maintain great determination and understanding, as shown from how he had repeatedly helped Shikamaru regain his sense of worth. In the battle, Shikaku appeared merciless. During the Konoha crash, he had no doubts about choking the Suna shinobi to death, even when one of them was clearly covering. It was also revealed that he was amongst the few parents who did not order his son to stay away from Naruto Uzumaki. He instead encouraged Shikamaru to do what he thought was best. Since Shikamaru became a Chunin, Shikaku had taken a greater interest in his son's training and started teaching him the clan's more secret techniques. He also spent a great deal of his time tending to the clan's deer. He also has shown himself to be very caring to his son, as he was very empathetic when his son was clearly distraught and frustrated for letting Asuma die by Hidan, telling Shikamaru to let his mixed emotions out so he can avenge his sensei's death. Shikaku had two scars on the right side of his face, which were probably his most noticeable feature. Like his son and grandson, he had a dark hair tied up into a spiky ponytail. He had dark eyes as well as a goatee, and his ears were also pierced. In part 1, Shikaku wore a mesh shirt underneath his flak jacket, a deerskin coat over that, and a couple of handguards. In part 2, however, he had been seen in the standard Konoha shinobi outfit. Earlier in the anime, Shikaku also had a scar on the left side of his face, however this scar had been removed. Also in the anime, Shikaku's flak jacket is depicted as the deeper shade of green. This is possibly to indicate his status as the Jōnin commander. When not on duty at home, Shikaku wore a simple light-colored kimono and haori with the clan symbol on the back. As a Jōnin level shinobi and the head of his clan, Shikaku was undoubtedly a very powerful shinobi. According to Kakashi, Shikaku's talents would make him a highly capable Hokage. His skills and real ability garnered him a high respect from other powerful ninja, such as the 5 Kage, especially Ei and Noki. The former trusted him enough to lead and command the entire allied shinobi forces in the Kage's stead, while they went off to deal with the emergency situations. Like other Nara, he had mastered many of his clan's secret techniques, which revolve around the use of shadows. His prowess with these were witnessed during the Konoha crash, when he effortlessly bound and killed several invading shinobi. In the anime, he also displayed great control of his shadow, able to use the Black Spider Lily technique to bind several shinobi while at the same time freely using the tendril of his shadow to move one of his comrades to safety. Along with this, Shikaku could work flawlessly with his teammates Choza and Inoichi due to the strong bond forged between their clans and their long-standing friendship. This was again seen in the anime, most prominently where Shikaku was able to use techniques to support his teammates, as well as gain support for his own techniques. For example, using Choza's large shadow to facilitate his use of the black spider lily technique. Above everything else, Shikaku was even more renowned for his intellect. He had carried on his family's tradition of keeping a medical encyclopedia filled with various informations, such as remains for the 3 colored pills of the Akimichi clan, which Tsunade has praised him for. He regularly defeated his son Shikamaru, who himself is a genius with an IQ of over 200 at shogi, without him even realizing that the game was even lost. During the Fourth Shinobi World War, his years of experience and skills were put to great use. He was appointed as the chief strategist of the Allied Shinobi forces and showed himself to be a shrewd tactician and strategist, able to quickly and calmly analyze a great deal of information, anticipate actions, and use it to quickly formulate or reformulate a highly effective plan. Because of these skills, he was praised by the 4th Raikage, stating that he now understood why Konoha had been so hard to take down. His skills once again became useful when the remainder of the Allied Shinobi forces assembled to face the Ten Tails, as he was able to put together a strategy utilizing all of the villagers' various ninjutsu in mere moments, even though they had only recently shared information about their techniques. This feat led Temari to praise him for his skills. Shikaku debuted in the anime during the Chunin exams, attending a festival with his former teammates and giving Inoichi Yamanaka a hard time for having a daughter. When Shikamaru came to pick him up, he instead asked his son why he was not enjoying the festivals. During the Konoha Crash, he fought alongside his former teammates and repelled the invading shinobi forces and used the Shadow Neck Binding technique. He is later seen at the third Hokage's funeral after the failed invasion. Later, when Shikamaru failed during the course of their mission to save Sasuke and some of his teammates suffered severe injuries, Shikaku spoke with him. He encouraged his son to keep his responsibility as the team captain, as it might be that a team on a mission without him could have several casualties, but if he was there, the team might end up with no casualties. Shikaku appeared following Asuma Sarutobi's funeral, confronting Shikamaru about Asuma's death and offering to play shogi with him. After Shikamaru avenged Asuma and they played shogi again, he discussed the concept of the king with Shikamaru before defeating him. Shikaku was later shown to have survived Pain's destruction of Konoha along with Shikamaru and Shiho, apparently having some knowledge of Senjutsu, the Sage Jutsu or Sage Mode. He told his son not to interfere with Naruto Uzumaki's fight with Pain, and they instead regrouped with nearby villagers. He and Inoichi went searching for the Pain's real body soon afterwards, only to run into Naruto, who had defeated Pain. When Naruto told them not to follow him to Pain's base, as he wished to speak with Pain alone, Inoichi argued that talking wouldn't solve anything. However, Shikaku, remembering Shikamaru's words about Naruto, convinced Inoichi to comply. When Pain then revived all of those who he had killed, Shikaku realized he made the right choice in trusting Naruto. After the invasion, Shikaku was one of the 5 Konoha villagers to be summoned before the Fire-Fueled Lord to discuss the villagers' response and reconstruction. With Tsunade in a coma, Danzo also suggests selecting a new Hokage. Fearing that Danzo might be appointed to the position, Shikaku nominated Kakashi to become the next Hokage. Much of the council agrees, but Danzo is able to undermine Kakashi. Shikaku tried to pursue the council not to take Danzo's ideals into account, but despite that, the feudal lord decided to appoint Danzo the sixth Hokage. In the anime, after he returned to the village, he was seen with Homura and Koharu, telling them that the members of the root were unusually restless. Afterwards, he was seen asking his son to talk to him about something. When Danzo was killed, Shikaku was once again called before the feudal lord, this time to appoint Kakashi to the position. The meeting was interrupted with the news that Tsunade had woken up, bringing the end to the proceedings. As one of the Tsunade's first acts, she convened a war council to decide the village's plans with the approaching 4th Shinobi World War. Shikaku and Shikamaru attended, although Shikaku believed his son was too young to be there. Later, when Tsunade traveled to Kumogakure to meet with the other heads of the Shinobi Alliance, Shikaku went with her and stayed by her side during the meetings. Shikaku advised that she agree with the other Kage by sending the Jinchuriki into hiding. Shikaku is appointed the chief battle strategist of the Alliance and remains at the headquarters with Tsunade, Ei, and Onoki. He advises the Kage on battle tactics in how to best mobilize the troops against the White Zetsu army and the various reincarnated ninja. His repeated usefulness earned the Raikage's praise. When the news of the Moose reincarnation reaches headquarters, Shikaku considered reforming the original Ino Shikacho to deal with him until Onoki opts to go instead. He soon afterwards devised a strategy to seal a Kinkaku, which involved the new Ino Shikacho, which he realized to them through Inoichi's telepathic abilities. After they defeated Kinkaku, Shikaku tasked Shikamaru and his teammates with defeating the reincarnated Asuma, as the current Ino Shikacho, being Asuma's former students, are the best choice to subdue Asuma without any casualties. Headquarters is later informed that the Jinchuriki have escaped their confinement. Tsunade and Ei leave to confront them, leaving Shikaku in charge during their absence, as he found himself dealing with the White Zetsu soldiers that have infiltrated all the portions of the Allied forces. Shikaku analyzed all he knew of the White Zetsu's abilities and the information he came across while preparing for the war to create the perfect response. As Shikaku tried to come up with a countermeasure against the infiltrators, Katsuyu asked whether or not they should inform Tsunade and Ei of what's happening, but Shikaku declines, saying that he was put in charge of the situation at the headquarters, while the Kage tried to stop Naruto and Beef from leaving. After careful consideration, Shikaku realizes that the only way to uncover the imposters was to use Naruto's new ability to sense negative emotions through the use of the Ninetales power, as well as using his shadow clones to cover a larger area. After hearing this, Mabui says that there is no way Ei would allow Naruto to participate in the war, although Katsuyu informs them that this might not be entirely possible, due to Ei finally allowing Naruto and B to pass. After hearing this, although in disbelief, Shikaku immediately contacts Naruto and B through Inoichi's telepathy abilities and informs them of the Immortal Army and Madara's Eye of the Moon plan. Also warns Naruto that Madara will not listen to reason and will see his plan to the very end. Later, when Gaara tells Naruto that he hopes his reason for being on battlefield, Shikaku tells him that that might be impossible due to the situation. He then tells them that he would explain, as he had decided to leave the explanation until they have finished fighting Mu. After hearing the progress that the Alliance was making on the battlefield thanks to Naruto, Shikaku exclaims that they had the upper hand on the battlefield and that all that was left was capturing Madara, who is making a beeline towards the Jinchuriki by concentrating their remaining forces on attacking him. Later in the anime, the Sound Four are also summoned to the battlefield. After Neji, Shikamaru, Kiba and Choji seemingly defeat them. The Sound Four and Konoha are struck by a strange technique that has left them in a comatose state. After learning the truth of the technique, that it removes the victim's soul and transports them into another location, it is explained it can be dispelled like a genjutsu by pouring chakra into the actual technique. However, it has a seal that prevents even Inuichi equipped with the special enchantment tools from being able to detect or communicate with them. When Naruto contacted HQ, Shikaku explained the situation, encouraging Naruto to save his son and the others. As the Allied shinobi forces, seeming to have taken a decisive control of the war, the mild celebration at the headquarters is cut short by Ao's detection of a new presence on the battlefield. After hearing that the real Madara Uchiha had appeared on the battlefield, headquarters tried to decipher who the masked man really was then. Inuichi reports that the 4th Division was under attack. After confirming that it was definitely Madara's doing, he turns to Tsunade, saying that if they continue to lose troops at this rate, they'd be in a huge trouble. As Tsunade prepares to leave the headquarters using Mabui's heavenly transfer technique, Shikaku tells her that they should use the Flying Thunder God technique to mark Katsuyu instead, but Tsunade states that she would just use her Yin Seal instead. Remembering this, Shikaku tells her that it was still a big gamble to use Mabui's technique for someone that was very unlucky when it came to gambling, but Tsunade tells him that gambling her life is a different story altogether. When A decides to head to the battlefield as well, despite Mabui's pleas, Shikaku deems that the crisis battlefield is the needed time for the commanders to move out into the front lines. Contacting Genma, he tells him that he should prepare to teleport Mei to Tsunade, who was heading to the battlefield. Assuming the role as the leader again, Shikaku asks for the status of the other battlefields. After hearing this, he orders them to inform the 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 5th divisions to back Naruto and B up as soon as their fights were over. After receiving intelligence from Ao and other sensors in an effort to boost everyone's morale at once and get backup for the men fighting Tobi, Shikaku requests that Inuichi communicate with all of the members of the Allied shinobi forces and tell them their position. Later, when the sensing water sphere became severely distorted, Shikaku ordered Inuichi and Ao to check on the situation to confirm his assumption. Formulating a strategy during the time, Naruto took to try the opposition. Shikaku relayed his plan to all the members of the alliance via Inuichi, but when their initial efforts to trap the Ten Tails failed upon the beast's maturation, Shikaku began to gather intel in order to formulate a new battle strategy. When the beast begins firing off tail beast balls in far-off distances, Shikaku asked Inuichi where the attack was heading, but soon realized that the opposition was targeting the HQ. Telling the others that there was nothing they could do but continue to fulfill their duties until the very end, Shikaku had Inuichi patching through the whole alliance one final time to give them his final plan of attack and to say farewell to his son before HQ was destroyed by the Ten Tails attack. Praised by many for his genius, Shikaku was a tactical and analytical master. His clan kept a medical encyclopedia, thanks to which Tsunade was able to save Choji Akimichi due to the detailed research that was done on the 3 colored pills. Garnering praise even from Kumogakure's 4th Raikage, he was accredited as the reason why Konoha had always been such a difficult opponent. As a testament to this, during the 4th Shinobi World War, Shikaku was assigned to the position of chief strategist and later proxy commander of the forces. Most, if not all, of the strategies that Shikaku made ended with the positive results for the Alliance and allowed them to secure the upper hand during the war. When HQ was targeted by the remaining enemy forces, Shikaku resolved in his duty, was able to pass on one last strategy to the Alliance, part of which involved using Kurama's chakra, which the beast would later praise him for. Before being killed, Shikaku seemed regretful when telling his son Shikamaru that all he was able to do for him as a father was play shogi. However, his son noted that that was more than enough because he also grew up watching his father. Shikaku likewise was confident enough in his son to leave the rest of the analytical aspects of the war directly to him. Years after his death, he would gain a grandson, Shikadai, when his son married Temari. Before we end the video, let's go over some of his quotes, the first one being to Shikamaru. No matter how strong-minded a woman is, she will show kindness to the man she loves. To the invading Suna Shinobi. Oh, come on, if you never heard of a shadow bind technique, then you love this next one, the Konoha Shadow Neck Binding Technique. To Shikamaru, even if you quit being a shinobi, missions will still occur, someone will carry them out. Your companions will just go out with a new leader, so then maybe your companions will die, but if you are the leader that time, your companions may not reach that end. If you look at this time as an experience and you learn from it, maybe you can carry out your missions with less problems. If your companions are really important to you, before you think about running away, consider that you may become greater for the sake of your friends. To the new generation of Ino Shikacho, legends from the distant past are always exaggerated, but eventually someone outdoes them. That's when new legends are born. To the new generation of Ino Shikacho again. If he is powered by the Nine Tails, you are powered by the bones of Ino Shikacho. Have faith in your teamwork. To himself. Cool head, agile mind. Last words. We do what we have to do until the end. It's our last job. Connect me to the people on the battlefield. I have a strategy to stop the Ten Tails. And finally, let's go over some trivia. First of all, surrounding his name. Shika means deer, but Shikaku can mean assassin. It is also a game of logic. According to the databook, Shikaku wished to fight his son, Shikamaru, in shogi. His hobby was looking after the deer. Before Shikaku was killed, he told Shikamaru to get rid of a certain something in the wooden box on the left-hand shelf of his closet without letting his mother find out. And that was it, the whole life of Shikaku Nara, from the very first mention to the last mention. I have to say that I really enjoyed making this video, even though it's a bit longer, since Shikaku till this day is still one of my favorite characters. If you enjoyed this video, find something new or interesting, make sure to drop a like down below and subscribe if you're new. If you made it this far, thank you, and let me know in the comments if you have any suggestions on who do you want me to cover next. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.